I raised my daughter. I was a single dad. When she was 4, I took her to start playing basketball. I was also her coach. And I was her coach from the time she was 4 until the time she graduated high school in different sports. Her first basketball team was on a base in San Diego, California. She was the only girl on the team. All the rest were boys. She was also the youngest. She was 4 and everybody was like 5 and 6. And there was this one little boy who kept picking on her every day, kept picking on her. He was about 5 or 6 years old. She would cry. So I'm trying to teach these young kids how to play basketball, but she wouldn't get out of my arms. So I'm carrying her, talking to all these boys. Okay, now you need to do this. She's over my shoulder crying. Of course, me being a dad, I'm not putting her down because that's what I do. Holding her, within a couple of weeks, she was the best one on the team. She's knocking people down, elbowing, but she had to go through that stage and she had to learn to be tough. And that carried her all the way through. She went to college on a volleyball scholarship. She's tough but she didn't start out that way. She learned it. Persistence, stick-to-itiveness, the details, minor details make a difference. You're always going to have some problem people, but you have to work through them or with them. Sometimes you have to work through them. Sometimes you have to go through some things to get to the other side. But when you're going through those things, you also have to identify them and maybe have to get rid of them. And it might be people, it might be systems, it might be whatever it is. You might have to go for something that's better. Meaning if you find an employee who just doesn't want to comply, doesn't want to be a part of the team, doesn't want to move the organization and in your team effort forward, you have to let them go and bring on somebody who wants to be a team player, who has the bigger picture in mind. Sometimes we need somebody to hold us and get us through the rough times so that we can stand on our own, and that's what she did. I was there to help her, hold her. She knew that she was safe here, but once she got safe here, she had to get safe down on the court as well, and she eventually did. And then once she got safe on the court, she took that to other areas because she played volleyball, basketball, softball, and track. She excelled in all of them, but it all started with her being here.
Has your life, your dreams been interrupted? Good news. It is possible to reinvent our lives. People are doing it every day, and some are brave enough to share the struggles, disappointments, and challenges. If you are looking for a new beginning, a do-over, or to rediscover your passion, maybe even find a new one, then grab a cup of coffee and let's talk. Interrupted, Act 2, Reinventing Your Legacy, with your host, Coach Lori.
Dr. Mark Brown is a Marine, a retired Marine, but always a Marine. His program is Adapt Performance. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Tell us about your program and what it is, what you do.
So my program is about helping organizations to ensure that their culture and climate are up to standard and that their businesses stay alert as to the different culture and climate challenges that may occur.
And what kind of businesses?
Right now, we're dealing with different organizations such as organizations that produce products like Costco or things like that. My company actually helps both the business and the employees because we understand that there are no businesses without employees. So what we do is we help the culture and the climate so that the employees want to stay around. We help things like engagement, performance, and productivity increase.
Because we've seen this, especially since COVID. Well, I'm sure you've heard quiet quitting.
Exactly, quiet quitting, yes. And we work with organizations to try to help that from happening. I have a team of professionals and we come in and we assess the current climate and we give them information about how to improve their organization's climate and culture.
Can you say more about climate and culture?
Well, the culture and climate of an organization is set by the leadership. And what that does is it determines whether the organization is failing their employees. And that also determines whether the organization is going to be profitable or not. So what we do is we talk to the employees, we talk to the employers or the leaders, and we find out if there are any concerns that we can help them with. And usually we do find things that we can address and make their climate and culture better. It's just the environment where the people work and how they feel when they get there.
Yeah, and if they feel like they matter.
Yes, exactly. We want people to feel like they belong at work. And again, my company's name is Monachopsis Management Strategies. And Monachopsis, of course, is just a Greek word that means feeling like you don't belong. We want to correct that feeling. We want everybody to feel like they belong at work.
I think that's so important because I don't know, is apathy the word that we're seeing right now?
It is, definitely. People are standing by and they're looking and say, I don't know if I can help. I don't know what I can do. What we can do is we can come in and give you definite information about how to put your organization on the right track. And again, we don't just deal with leaders, we also deal with employees. If your employees are having issues, we discuss and we have interviews with them as well. Because again, businesses are just people who are working in the same spot or same space.
And so many businesses, they have the business people and the workers. It's often the business people they're a certain temperament. So they're really focused on the bottom dollar and that kind of thing. And I feel like sometimes they don't even understand that they're not relational with their workers.
Exactly. And that's a concern. Some leaders, I'm not going to say most, some leaders are concerned with the bottom line. They don't understand that without the employees, without the human capital, the business will not function well. And we've seen that with poor production, poor performance, disengagement, and lack of retention.
So I have a friend who they had someone come in, they analyzed their work process. And so they set everything up. And so they have this sequence they have to go through at their work. But because of this new sequence, it doesn't give them time to really be friendly with the customers. And I'm not talking over friendly, talking for hours, just there's no time to even be friendly. And she's so frustrated. It sounds like they're working with the higher ups, but not the employees.
Right. It's always important to work with the employees and to have good customer relations. Happy employees have good customer relations, and which brings in more dollars and increases the bottom line of the organization. Sometimes we overthink things as leaders in organizations, but we forget there are people involved. The people are the end product. They're the ones who buy the products, and they're the ones who sell the product. So yes, we have to always keep them in mind.
So what brought you to this work?
I served in the Marine Corps for about 30 years, and I saw how teams worked and didn't work. And my goal was to come in after I retired and be able to help organizations better control their environments, keep their employees and teams working together in order to increase the bottom line or the mission, to accomplish the mission.
What do you think makes you so passionate about that?
I felt the need for it because I've been in teams that did not work well, and I've seen teams that have worked well. And my goal is to have everybody come together and increase the bottom line of the organization and become better teams, become better people to work with. Because again, you don't want to go to work. And we spend most of our time at work. We don't want to go to work and feel like we do not belong there or the organization is not where we need to be. Culture and climate is very important to employees, and it is also important to the leadership as well.
What do you see as the biggest challenge for businesses?
The biggest challenge for businesses is the disconnection between leaders and employees or workers. They don't understand that workers have lives and they want to be a part of this organization. They have a stake in seeing this organization succeed. And sometimes leadership thinks that they're the only ones who have that stake. They're all stakeholders and they're working towards a common mission, but they need to have better communications at times, and they also need to understand one another.
And a little recognition goes a long way. I know for workers, when they feel like they matter, they feel recognized, then they'll give more. It seems like when they just demand more, but no recognition, then there seems to attitude or...
Well, that's the case as well. You know, when workers are working hard, they want to be recognized. It's not always financial. They not always want to raise, but they want to be seen. And like all of us, we want to be seen. And we want to know that we're doing a good job and that other people see that we're doing a good job. And that's what we do. We help leaders understand that people need different things. And not all employees are the same. So one might need recognition. One might need extra guidance. And they all feel like they're a part of the team.
That's so good. What would your perfect client be? Like who would come to you for support and help?
There are different organizations, but I've seen organizations where they have 150, 200 employees, and they're falling short because the teams are not together. There is no one set client or organization that we deal with, but we deal with people. So we want to make sure that people understand if they work together, they understand each other, that their organization will thrive.
What do you see as the biggest difference between your military background? Because whenever we hear Marines, it's like it feels very strict and organized. And so your Marine background versus civilians.
All right. There's a little bit of difference. Not much because, again, we go back to that we are all people. The only difference is that you can't just up and quit the military. People can up and quit jobs, and that's what they do. And if they do quit, then that affects the bottom line of the organization because we know that depending on skill level and experience, it costs between $3,000 and $4,000 a week to replace those employees. So we would like your organization or these organizations to keep people around.
A big turnover is a big red flag.
It definitely is. Our goal is to mitigate that. We know we can't stop it all, but we'd like to help organizations keep it under control.
Do you have any success stories?
Oh, definitely. We've worked with organizations who are, you talked about before, resignation. Everybody's leaving. And we've gone in there, we've given trainings, and we've given professional development, we've talked to the leadership, and we've had leaders come and say, hey, we didn't really understand that part of it. And you would think that they would, but they didn't. And actually, the turnaround turned around, and they were able to retain more of their employees. And even to this day, they're coming back and saying, hey, we think we might want to bring you back so we can get more training and help in that area.
That's awesome. If a company comes to work with you, what kind of process is it?
Okay, well, our process starts with an assessment. We assess what the organization is going through. We also do our own assessment so we can compare the two. We also do data analysis of the organization, and then we give them an action plan. And the action plan includes different things like 360-degree development for leaders, training, professional development, all kind of things that we can use in order to push that organization forward. And then we have a follow-up training at the end of that to make sure that they're on the right path and they are following the action plan that we've given them.
So it's actually very tailored.
It is. What's good for one organization doesn't necessarily work for another organization. So we go through and we assess what you need specifically for your organization.
Do you find that when they sign up to do it, is everybody willing, or do you come against some resistance?
Well, what I find is that sometimes we get resistance from leadership. Sometimes employees say, we've gone through 1 million trainings before. What's the difference? The difference between our organization and other organizations is because we have a fusion between military leadership and civilian leadership. And we try to look at things holistically and get the organization moving in the right direction. So yeah, we're always going to have a little bit of pushback, but if we let them know where we're coming from and what we have for them, they usually move right along and we can help them.
As an employee, there's been times when we've had a training and I've felt that way. And then going through it, depending on what it is, it's kind of like, oh, there's realization. So you come in with all kinds of, can't think of the word now, like building so people can become better people as well as better employees.
Exactly. It's holistic. We want people to be better people. We want them to be better employees. We want them to be better teammates. We want them to work together in order to accomplish whatever mission they have. What makes us different is that we see things from both sides. I come in and people are like, oh, I've seen this before. But once I start talking to them and I tell them, hey, this is who I am and this is where we need to be, they usually get on board and we move forward.
What do you think are like some myths or belief systems companies or the leaders of companies have to overcome in order to accept that they need help?
People are people. So leadership sometimes think because they're not, they don't have the boots on the ground, they think that everything's working well. Sometimes they just overlook things that the team members are saying and the team leaders are saying. So the myth is that you need to take a closer look at whatever else is going on in your company. If things are falling by the wayside, your teams are not performing well, you're not meeting your deadlines, it might be a bigger problem that you might not be able to see internally. You might need an external source to come in and look at your problems, your concerns.
That feels true about everything, right? About families or relationships. It's so easy to get kind of mired in what we think is happening.
Exactly. And that happens all the time. Sometimes we think that we have everything under control until we don't have everything under control. And somebody else can look at the picture a bigger picture and tell us, hey, this is what has to happen, and then we move forward with it, and that's a good thing.
And then do you have coaching for the leadership and how to sustain the new the new way?
Definitely. We provide coaching for leaderships. We provide ways for leadership to look at themselves. Sometimes leaders believe that they're above this and above that. But, we have techniques that they can look at themselves, their peers can look at them and, help them move forward. And that's what we do. We coach and we teach people to look at themselves as well.
Kind of self-realization.
Exactly.
So in a way, I see your military thing, and that feels more like outward, where you're kind of coming from, let's look inward, let's do some self-reflection, let's break things down. Is it a lot different or kind of the same?
The same, but slightly different because you come from a more structured environment to a less structured environment, and you're able to see things that you would not be able to see if you stayed or you were raised in that structured and unstructured and less structured environment. So we bring in our, different experiences, these organizations.
And so you do the assessment and then you work with them. Is it different for everyone, or is it like a year-long program, a 6-month program?
What we do is tailor. Once we find out where we can help the organizations out, it might be 2 weeks, it might be 3 weeks. Some organizations want us to stay around for 6 months to ensure that they're on track or tracking, and we'll do that for them. We just want to make sure that everybody gets what we want them to have to move forward.
What do you love about this work?
I love people. I love helping people. I love helping organizations. It goes back to organizations are made of people. And if we can help people be happy on the job, then we can help the job. We can help the organizations be more productive.
Do you ever see, I read a lot of novels, and often there's communities of people, and they're so different, but then they find a way to work together. Do you see that sometimes, that people are so different, but yet they can still find a way to connect?
Definitely. People come from various backgrounds, but there's always a common thread, especially when they're working together and they spend a lot of time together, whether it's in a physical space, an office space, or virtually. They still work a lot. They have a lot of time together. And getting to know people outside of their work environment is a good way to build bridges and connect people together. And that's what we do as well. We have people who get to know each other on slightly larger levels than just the work environment.
I noticed that at my last job. We all seemed to like each other, but when we got to go out and do things, we just interacted differently. And it really, I would always feel like the next day you come back and you feel like, oh, I know them better. Or you're more likely to go out of your way to say hi. That's
right. That extra connection is always a good thing. Sometimes when we're just focused like robots in the workplace, we forget that other people are different, and that once we learn a little bit more about them, we're able to work with them, and we're able to empathize and see how they are as people, not just workers.
This has been so good, because I think, especially now after COVID, it feels like COVID kind of knocked us down a bit, that there is such a need for that. It'd be so much better if we see all these statistics of people leaving. It'd be so much better if we could keep our employees. If it means we have to do a little more or something a little different, it just seems better to keep them than keep just getting new ones.
Exactly. COVID kind of took us back a step, but now we're coming out of that, and we're trying to build better teams, to build better networks in order to make our organizations go forward. But what we're trying to do is get people to understand that these organizations, they need us to move forward. Not us as in my business, but people to move forward. The name of my business is Monachopsis Management Strategies.
Spell Monachopsis.
Monachopsis, Monachopsis, Management Strategies.
Dr. Mark Brown with Monachopsis Management Strategies.
Yes.
Tell us again about Monachopsis, what that is.
Yeah, Monachopsis just means feeling out of place. Feeling out of place in a place where you should actually feel like you belong. At work, you should feel like you belong there because you're more productive if you feel like you belong there. Sometimes you can go to another organization and you feel like you do not belong, but you should. Our goal is to make people feel like they belong in order to help the organizations move forward and be more productive.
There's a story you share about being a young Marine. Will you share it with us?
I was really good at being a Marine. I was at a young age and a young rank when they put me in a role of responsibility. But with that said, I had to give a speech. I had to memorize a speech. And I was like 23, 24, and this speech was long. And I had to give it in front of this audience. So I got up there and I started halfway through. It's gone. So I had to improvise the rest of it. But the speech was actually a scripted speech that everybody in that position had to give. And I kind of blew it. But my team that I gave it to still turned out awesome. It started off bad, but it ended up great. Never give up. Even though you think you messed it up. But you know what? You can pull it all together and come out on top. I had a good team around me. We made this other larger group better because we stayed on top of them. We were hard on them, but we also taught them. And this is when I was a drill instructor. So we stayed on top of them. At the end, we were so hard on them, but they came back and said, thank you. And they always do. Thank you for being rough on us. Thank you for helping us push that civilian side over here and get into a military mindset. I was a drill instructor and I went back as a drill instructor. The relationship and bringing the team together to make sure it was functional and it worked out well. We got awards that I never thought I would have gotten. Like I said, I was a young guy. I didn't expect anything.
Before we go, what is it you really, really want us to know?
Organizations are just made of people. And if you get the people to feel like they're a team and they work together and they're happy, they'll be more productive and your bottom line will grow. The opposite is concerned. It happens when people don't feel like they belong. And we want to ensure that happens. Our goal at Monachopsis Management Strategies, or MMS, is to build your employee teams so that your business can grow.
I just keep hearing people want to feel like they're seen and heard.
Definitely. That is the goal of our business, to make people feel seen and heard and move your organization forward.
How can we find you?
Well, you can find me at monachopsis.adapt@gmail.com or drmarkbrown@gmail.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you love this podcast, here's a big ask. Will you share with your friends and family, subscribe, give us a review, and a 5-star rating so that others looking to reinvent their lives will be able to get the help they're looking for? Thank you in advance.